All right, let's do it live on a First Friday Miracle edition of the program. Welcome into Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Merely Bo, and look who's back, the great Z, but not here, in his home isolation.
That's right, in the isolation chambers, man. You know, gonna
Listen to this.
Give it my all for you here today. It's a little deep, it's a little throaty. I should be doing some, some Isaac Hayes stuff right now, but we're going to do what we can.
I think if you would be somebody who'd be working at like the Sands in Vegas in 72 on like the probably like the 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. shift.
I don't know what you guys are up to.
That's it. That's you.
But
right
I don't
there.
like it.
That's the way that's going to go. Boy, this has been a hell of an illness for you, buddy. This is the throat. I mean, we need you back. So we'll just get a little taste of you today. But yeah, this is hitting you pretty good here. And I heard it. It's funny. Gibby and I were talking about it on Monday. I heard it seeping in at the end Saturday, and you guys had a tremendous call. You guys are joy to listen to. But I did notice, knowing you as well as I do, and as familiar with your voice as I am, I did notice towards the end of Saturday that it was starting to quiver.
Yeah, it quivered, I think, like Gibbe might remember. I think it was like right before the end of the first half out of nowhere. And I was like, what? And then
he turned and looked at me at like halftime, and I was like, do not go talk to anybody.
No,
you stay in here.
No words.
Connor, go get like 40 cups of tea and find every lemon in this building.
Tea, honey, and the great Jim Donovan always has with him like these insane halls that are like souped up.
Like military grade halls?
Yeah. And so I got some of those. It's funny because today I feel much better, and I know that this will come as a great surprise. My voice today is significantly better than it's been. I mean, significantly. But yeah, it knocked me out. I got back Saturday night after the game, and I felt kind of okay, and Miss K was not feeling great. I'm about a half a day behind her, and she's fine now, so that gives me a lot of excitement and optimism. But Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, yesterday I started to feel a little bit better, but Sunday and Monday, I mean, I was like just wiped. And not COVID. I had a fever. I like the craziest body aches of my life. Like I don't remember ever feeling that. And just as I called it, just the general malaise, man. And so I did a lot of lying around. It wasn't great for sleeping. Like sometimes when you're sick, you can at least sleep. It was not a great sleeping sickness. So yeah, it hasn't been great. But last night I actually like slept through the night, which I noticed was a good sign. You know, you never want to wake up in like a swamp in your bed. That's always a bad sign of
that's
great
not
illness.
Good. Yeah.
So last night was the first night we went through, and now I'm feeling better. I was able to get in for a little bit. I'm sad that we didn't cross paths, but I was able to get in for a little bit and interview coach and take care of all that business, get my boards going since I got to get working on those and get ready for what could be the strangest football game we've ever seen.
It's in play. It is in play. We've talked to this week about it a little bit, and it feels like that the forecast models are holding, and that it is going to be brutally cold. The snow could be an impact as well. The wind could be in the mix as well. So the wind is the big factor. On Monday when we looked at it, max wind gusts were talking about 68, 70 mile an hour wind gusts. Now, yesterday when I looked, it was in the 30s with sustained winds in the 17s. I'll be honest with you, I have not looked today to see where we are today.
I think still high wind gusts, or at least as of most recently, are still in the mix there. I mean, it's possible, albeit unlikely, but it's possible this is a game in which neither team can really throw the football. Like literally, can't throw the
Very
football.
possible. I mean, if you're 60 some mile an hour wind gusts, then no, then you're not.
Right.
And so there was an example, and it was not matched with this brutal cold, but that happened to Ohio State when they played at Northwestern. If you're a fan of the Buckeyes, you remember the game where they really just could not throw it, and it was because there were 60 mile an hour winds, and there was just no way to keep the ball to go to its intended place. So the same would happen here if that is indeed the case by the time we get to Saturday. So you were hoping it would mild. It's a little less, a little more navigable than it was on Monday, but at the same time, it's going to be a unique atmosphere, to say the least, on Saturday.
Gibbe, I know that we're a big windows open group up there. What are we thinking about for this Saturday?
It has not been discussed yet.
I dare one of you to tell him he can't take him out.
No.
I won't.
I mean,
listen, I'm planning on right now, Gibbe. I feel like there's never been a game that has truly called for my beautiful faux fur as this one. I mean, if windows are open, that's the only thing I've got that could possibly keep me warm enough.
I feel like I can get one window in to protect the statistician and the spotter, who might happen to be Jim's daughter.
Yeah.
But after that, nah, I don't know.
I just saw an out-of-context Dusty Rhodes on Instagram, which is a great Instagram follow.
That is fun,
No context
Dusty. Was Flair first with those?
Yeah, there's a no-context Flair. There's a great no-context Curb, which I would highly recommend.
I'm on that one, too, yeah.
S is a huge fan of that one. But Dusty had on this absurd fur, and I sent it to Mo Pedman. And he's like, I got to get me one of those. And I was like, well, I've got one. And I feel like if I'm ever going to wear it, this weekend would be.
I mean, it's a Christmas miracle. It's Christmas.
It is that. You wanted snow.
I did. White Christmas. Love it.
I think we can't worry about it. I think we just have to embrace it.
Totally. And what I want you guys to know, Bo, and I want you to know this and the people listening, that while my voice may not sound perfect, like the way I know I feel better is my zest has returned today.
You got your joy back?
Yeah, I was zestless for a couple days, guys.
I don't like you that way. I don't like you lacking zest. Zest is part of your essence.
Yeah, and now I'm zesty again.
Yeah,
Let's go.
like that. I like it. So that's where you're headed. Well, same. And now I won't see you for a while. I mean, it's going to be a minute until we intersect.
I'm not going to see you again. Till just 2023?
No, 23rd. The Friday, the 30th.
Okay.
And then I'll do the show Friday. I'll do what you're doing on this Friday. But yeah, in terms of in the same, it'll be a little bit of a run here as you take some time. Buddy's in the house. Buddy Garrity has moved in. He moved in last night. Buddy Garrity's in the mix. Went pretty well for day one. The real issue, I mean, so no accidents. We're clear on that. So he's done a good job on that. But
that's, by the way, remarkable.
Yeah. The real issue, I think, is that Bootsy needs to be shot with like an elephant tranquilizer because his energy around the dog is off the charts. And his excitement level is off the charts, which then causes Buddy Garrity to get excited. And then he gets kind of nervous. And I'm like,
leads to accidents.
Yeah, I'm like, Bootsy, we've got to trank you, buddy. You're at an 11. I need you at a 3.
Well, yeah, that's gonna lead to little piddles, as they like to call them. He's gonna get a little excitement piddle.
Yeah, so we've got to. That's the real adjustment. But so far, it has gone pretty well.
So, did the missus sleep downstairs?
Yeah, she did. I don't know if she would say that it has gone pretty well. She wasn't thrilled about her night.
Well, she had to drive them back with the 3 boys and the puppy. Just madness, I'm assuming, in a car ride that I would not want to ever be a part of.
And is she fully recovered? Is she back to 100%?
No. Well, close. She's inching closer. I think that the look that I saw on her face this morning when I went down to see how things were going at around 6:45 was not a look of joy in any way, and maybe of great regret and remorse for what had just been undertaken.
All right, so hold on. Break this down for me because clearly Gibbe knew what you were talking about. So you get the dog. She slept downstairs where the dog was to tend to Buddy Garrity in case he had to go out or something?
Yeah. So the operation was going to be, and I said, look, if you wait until Thursday, then I'll be able to do these things because I've taken some time for holiday. And there was this big emphasis that, no, Buddy Garrity needs to be got now. And I said, well, okay, there's only so much I can do with that. So you're on an island a little bit there. So she went and scooped up Buddy Garrity, brought him home, and then last night she was down there tending to his needs to make sure that when a bathroom was needed, that a bathroom was taken. So
I feel like we could have got the kids working in shifts on this.
Yeah, they're not ready for that. NBC is for sure. NBC could do it. I think Beamsy could do it. I think there's a 90. If Bootsy took Buddy out right now, I don't know if he'd ever come back. I'm not sure exactly how it
Yeah.
would go. I mean, you might lose both, quite frankly.
I could see Bootsy like mounting and riding Buddy Garrity off into the
That's what he
sunset.
thinks. He thinks that he is getting that it's like a stuffed animal for him to play with all the time, and he
Yeah,
doesn't
no
understand that it's a living human, canine, and
It's a human.
Yeah, and so it's gonna take a little bit of time. He wants it to be like something he can ride and play with right now. I'm like,
Yeah.
Buddy's gonna have to acclimate a little bit here, bud. That's where we're at. So I'm sure it'll be me tonight, sleeping down there and doing the best I can. And but so we have dings like bells. You know, so if a kid
sure.
if a kid walks out of a door of the house where we can't see him, then that lets us know that. And so there was a bell that went off. I took him out at like about 11, a little before 10:30, 11. Then there was a bell that went off at 2:37 and a bell that went off at like 5:32. So those were the increments that we got to in night
3
one.
hours.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
It's not bad. I mean, it's just hard to. I think you forget what puppyhood is like.
Yeah,
Once your dogs are like normal dogs again, you forget like what it's a legit undertaking.
yeah. I mean, and we've raised the children, so you know it's similar to that, except you don't have to change a diaper,
Right.
and they're more destructive
so.
because they're mobile. So that's the other thing. So
They have great jaws.
they do. Yeah, Bootsy got nipped today, and I'm like, well, he's playing with you. He goes, he doesn't even like me. I'm like, he does like you. He just
Doesn't even like me.
he does like you. It's just that-
Buddy Garrity's rejecting you, Bootsy.
That's right. That's his way to play. He's playing that way. That's the way it goes. So we'll see how the next couple of days go. We do have an injury update from the Saints. Chris Olave, the former Buckeye, with a hammy, did not practice in advance of our game on Saturday. In addition to that, the Saints are going to be traveling here on Thursday due to the inclement weather in the forecast. So getting a 2-night stay up here in what would normally be a 1-night stay because of the weather. So, yeah, this is a legit weather event that we've got coming in here on Friday, kids.
And by the way,
Yeah.
it's not just here. I mean, there are 6 games, potentially 7 games impacted by this.
Field
Their
Yates
teams
put out
are
a
having
tweet.
to fly in early.
Field Yates put out a tweet yesterday that had those 6 games and the feel-like temp in all 6. And the warmest one was like 8 degrees on the feel-like. I mean, it's us, it's Pittsburgh, it's D.C. Is it a New York game
Buffalo?
that's like that? No, Buffalo's
Oh, Buffalo's
at,
in Chicago.
they're at, which is the worst.
Yeah,
That'll be the
Chicago's
coldest
the
of all of them will be Chicago. And Chicago's got that plan for the Dome. I mean, I'm guessing that this, like if you have Justin Fields, you want him out in this? I wouldn't. Not if I could prevent it. So maybe they'll get that Dome done there sooner rather than later. It'd be nice if they could. So the Saints traveling up. Go ahead. Yeah.
I just like. I hope people understand that. Yes, like the weather we had the other night, last Saturday, fun, right? That was pretty fun. A little bit of snow flurry against the Ravens. It was very nice. But when people say, "Oh, it's soft," no, it's not soft to want a dome. It's not soft to
No.
want good weather. And in fact, you want people to want to come to the games and be comfortable while watching the game. I don't know that I was watching those people in Green Bay. The Manning cast, by the way, I thought was one of my favorite Manning casts of the year.
Yeah.
Namely because I thought Peyton and Eli were funny. What was going on was pretty good. Kittle wasn't bad. Lil Wayne blew me away.
He was great. Yeah, he was the highlight, I thought. I thought he was – well, the two
Totally.
defensive guys was good with Ware and
They
Lewis.
were great.
Yeah.
It was just a good one. But,
Yeah.
you see the guys like Gumby's drinking beer through an eye. That was awesome. But then the guys and Eli drops he's rubbing his chest, and the word that he used for that was hysterical.
Yeah.
But I don't like. I guess I think it's cool to go and be shirtless at that thing. I don't know if it, makes you like a legend or whatnot. I just think it's nice to be comfortable. That's all.
I think it's easy to say, boy, it's great. How great was it to be in Buffalo? Yeah, wonderful. It's a snow globe. Here's the deal. That's a 10-3 team versus an 8-4 team. How does that work if it's inverted?
Yeah.
Well,
What's it like at
Not
3-10 and 5-8? Now
we
what's
were
it like?
talking about it on Monday. Like Peter
Freezing.
King was showering Josh Allen and the Bills. He's
Yeah.
like, for all these fans that want a dome in Buffalo, why? Like, this guy thrives in cold weather. And you said it best. It's not for him.
It's not for him.
This is your opportunity to build one now so that when, like you said, the record is inverted, it's a little bit better.
It's for me. And those of you out there listening, it's for the people who have season tickets who are like, how would I rather spend my Saturday in 68 degrees climate controlled or 8 degrees, 70-mile-an-hour winds? I mean, you want to be comfortable. And the stay-at-home is so good. The product is so good. I just think, to me, it's a no-brainer. I couldn't agree with you more. The idea that it's soft, no, I just want to see good ball. That's what I want to see. Like, look what you just said about our game. It could be a game where you cannot throw the ball forward. The over-under on this is in the 30s. It's like 32.
I think it's 31.5, and if it closes at 31.5, if that's the final at kick, I think it's the first time that there will ever be a total under 32 in an NFL game.
There you go. So that tells you what's expected. I don't know. I like watching the ball matriculate up and down the field. One other thing, and more than one other thing, the shocking passing of Franco Harris last night. He was set to have his number retired Saturday. So he did a lot of media with this leading up to this. Brooke Pryor, who's a great friend of the
Pryor yesterday.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, great friend of the program. We've had her on a lot. He talked to her yesterday, and then gone this morning. And boy, NFL legend, certainly one of the pillars of one of the great franchises and iconic teams in the history of the sport, and author of the Immaculate Reception, which is a play that is ingrained in my head, not because I'm not old enough to have seen it live, but from the standpoint of when I first was introduced to sports through Sports Illustrated, they would send great moments in sports history VHS tapes, and that one was on every one of them. The Facenda call and making sense of the Immaculate Reception, and then the interviews of the players going, there's no way he caught it. And in those days, there was no angle to get a clear shot of if he actually caught the ball or if it trapped it. There was no way of knowing. And so it went down in history as one of the most famous plays in the history to the sport. Omnipresent in Pittsburgh, in the NFL, just a absolute lion of a figure in Franco Harris lost.
Yeah, it was shocking and gone too soon. R.I.P. Franco Harris. Yeah, I woke up. That was the first thing that I saw on Twitter today, which was, and I knew they were planning on so many things like around this time, right? You said he was being retired,
in
and there was
scramble mode.
Yeah, there was like a show. I've seen like ads for shows about everything. Yeah, awful.
Saturday night was supposed to be a huge, and I mean a huge celebration. Flying in alums, like. It was supposed to be a really big night, and now it's taken on a whole different meaning.
From what I was seeing today, I mean, I haven't seen it came out of the blue, right? It was pretty shocking.
Yes. Completely unexpected.
Yeah, wow.
It's
just 72.
I make fun of that organization. I poke fun. They're a rival. I'm not supposed to like them. I do respect them, and they're one of two teams that voted back in 1995 for us not to move to Baltimore.
Yeah.
And they've had our back. Yeah, they've owned us when it comes to the rivalry up until a couple of years ago. But that man did more for that city maybe after his playing days. Yeah. Settled there, lived there year-round, I mean, was very active in a number of different things.
Penn State guy, too.
Yeah. I mean, he never wanted to leave. And he put his roots down, and when most players, when they're done, move south and west, he said, no, not me. I'm going to stay right here. And he did a lot for the NFL. He did a lot for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he did. Gone way too soon. The timing on this stuff is never good. It's just brutal that it was this weekend where he was to be honored and lost way too young at 72. We will go around the league coming up next. We looks like we're going to have a new home for the NFL Sunday Ticket. We'll have that information for you. Bernie coming up in about 15 minutes. It's a matchup first Friday edition of the program. We'll get into that in the second hour of the program. Deshaun Watson at the podium as well. We're off and running. Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. My friends, the Bath Authority gives you that bathroom of your dreams in about a day. You transform your current bathroom into a custom bath, make it feel like a spa. That's a win for everybody. The Bath Authority wins as well. They'll make it a reality for you to fracture the cost of competitors. The Bath Authority is our area's premier bath and shower remodeler, expert and factory-trained installers. Give them a call now. You get $500 off your next custom bath or shower remodel. That number is 216-220-8399 or go to thebathauthority.com. It's where affordability meets quality and the largest selection of bath projects, all made in the United States. Change your bathroom from outdated to outstanding. Acrylic tubs that insulate and keep the heat in, tub-to-shower conversions as well. Superior products with expert installers at thebathauthority.com, 216-220-8399. The AFC and NFC Pro Bowl rosters will be announced tonight at 8 on the NFL Network. Who makes it for us, Dr. Z?
All right, let's go on the offensive side of the ball.
Joel
Bitonio, Nick Chubb.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll do two possiblies.
Yep.
Possibly Amari Cooper and possibly David Njoku as the third tight end in the AFC.
Okay.
I think David Njoku is actually possibly, he might be even more likely than Amari, even though Amari's numbers are better, just because wide receivers so deep. You have in the AFC at tight end, you have Kelsey, who might be going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You've got Mark Andrews, whose cumulative numbers are still better than Chiefs, but not by much, and then that's it. He is the third best tight end in the AFC.
Yeah. Yeah, so I like it more than Amari. I like him more than Amari, for sure. I mean, I think it's AFC at receivers tricky.
It's just too loaded. I mean, You're going to have Diggs, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill,
Waddle,
Jamar Chase, T. Higgins.
Yeah, it's too much. Too much to overcome.
It's loaded. And that's, we haven't even, I'm sure there are other people we haven't
guys,
even
right? Those are off the top of the head. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then defensively, Miles,
and that's probably it.
That's probably it. Yep. Just a couple of them.
Yeah, so you could get, I think, best case scenario, you get 4. I think it's likely you'll end up with 3. Best case scenario, you get 4.
Yeah, it feels like 3 locks and then a couple of possibles. And I mean, there's no question Bitonio, Chubb, and Garrett, those guys are all there. Miles has got a real shot at first-team All-Pro.
Here's another name I'll throw out if he finishes this team the season strongly is Ethan Posick. I think Ethan Posick was on a Pro Bowl trajectory prior to his injury.
Well, I mean, if he's not hurt, it feels like it's almost a certainty. He just was dinged, but yeah, very much still in play there. All right, this also interesting. Both Google and YouTube, which is obviously owned all by the same, closing in on a deal for the NFL Sunday ticket package. John Oran of Sports Business Journal reporting that Google YouTube will pay $2.5 billion. Good lordy, $2.5 billion per year with a B for that package. They make the most sense in this from the standpoint of infinite funds, but also from the standpoint of propping up YouTube TV.
As a YouTube TV subscriber, let's go. All for it. Love it.
Guess what he's wearing?
Swag?
Yeah, of course.
I did get a glimpse at him. A beautiful blazer, little white pocket square. Yeah. And then what did he have on the bottom?
T. Scott's.
Of course.
He yesterday, you missed this
yesterday.
Wednesday. That's it. It's a Wednesday. No big deal.
First Friday.
He yesterday we became aware that his footwear of choice that ends in an A, that he shares a fondness in that footwear with Sir Nick Faldo. So Sir Nick Faldo and Senior Swag wear the same kicks, and I don't know that anything's been more appropriate.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did we come across this fact?
Because Nick Faldo has a Twitter account for his home in Montana, his farm and home in Montana, and it is followed. Remember I told you that story, that guy that grew up near lives near Faldo. He's like a rodeo guy. So I saw it on his Twitter that Faldo, someone asked Faldo what shoes he was wearing at the wedding, and he was wearing the ones that Swag wears.
Unbelievable. By the way, speaking of
Montana. And yet totally believable.
Totally believable. Speaking of Montana and great things out of Montana, what are you thinking of this season as we enter the midway point here of Yellowstone?
I think they've there's a real opportunity to land the plane if they just do one thing. they do one thing that isn't, I think that they could really land the plane on it. I think it is what I said it was going to be about a month ago. Like, it's just here's a beautiful day in the life in a gorgeous place with a setting, doing things that people aren't used to seeing on a regular basis. I mean, that's kind of
where it's always.
Yeah. That's kind
always
of the
July
operation.
10th.
It's always the middle of July, which is, the fact checker on the last episode is not great in terms of the way all that operation is. I also don't recall, well, we'll save that for off air. But no, I think that there's an opportunity. I'll tell you once we get to commercial. We've got Bernie coming up next. We'll get to commercial. I'll give you the one thing that I think that they can do to land it. The great Bernie Kosar coming up next. Listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet. Coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Injury Lawyers, dedicated to every client every day. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Elk and Elk's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. As we head out on the Twisted Tea hotline, brought to you by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of the Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. We're joined by Browns legend Bernie Kosar. And Bernie, one thing I know about that NFL legend group, and you certainly are in that group, is that when one of those guys, a brother in that group, is lost, it's a heavy heart. And we have that today with the loss of Franco Harris. What were your interactions with him? What did he mean to you? Obviously, it's a tremendous rivalry, but he was omnipresent in the Pittsburgh community over the last several years.
Wow, Bo, as you're saying that, I'm almost echoing it and repeating your words in my head as words, phrases, and the genuine spirit in which you're saying that. I so concur with you. I've been nauseous all day just thinking about that. I know as Browns fans, myself in particular, growing up in Youngstown, I've had so much fun over the years kind of making fun of our dislike for the Steelers and that type stuff. And, at times you talk about that dislike and stuff on and off the field, but that couldn't be any farther from the truth and reality of, especially as we age out and as a guy now in the late third quarter, early fourth quarter of his life, and you get the opportunity over multiple decades to hang out with the great Franco Harris. And, growing up watching him is one thing, but to genuinely become friends with him, to have done some work together from a business standpoint over the years, to have just been talking to him a couple weeks ago, to be seeing the history of the game coming down to this weekend, where it's the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception and all the greatness that was going into that game and that play, and him, all the great Steelers in history, to have only him to be the third number going to be retired, the number 32, and for this weekend and the holiday season and Christmas weekend, and the 50th anniversary of that. And, for him just to be doing interviews this past week and just yesterday and be hearing him. And for this to happen and wake up this morning and you're hearing this, just my thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family, Steeler Nation, NFL Nation. And he transcends football because, he's awesome in our historical football world and that, but we've lost a great person today. He's just a great human being.
Yeah, that's I was going to ask you, because you got a chance to know him, obviously, Bernie, but just from afar, whether it was the stuff that he did at Penn State or the stuff that he did in the Pittsburgh community, you hear these stories of never having not always had time to sign an autograph or take a picture with a fan or a kid or to tell a story. There was a genuine love affair that he had with the city, wasn't there?
Oh, great point, too. And one of the things I pride myself on, and I talk to younger players about, and Franco Harris is one of the guys I emulated watching him when I was a younger player. I used to see him go out and signing autographs for everybody. And over the last few decades, the way he handled everybody, even when he was busy, and specifically with kids and stuff, going out of his way to give him make a genuine difference was something that kind of taught. Again, I'm saying me as a younger player, but I looked up to him as a young kid, and then he almost mentored a lot of us over the decades. And he had, not to talk about some of his personal stuff, but he had business relationships here in Northeastern Ohio, and we crossed over on some of that. And just the world's lost a great man today.
I think of how you are too. How much of a role model was he for you in terms of the way you are with our fans? You're universally beloved, and everybody. Sometimes it feels like maybe there's not enough time, but I always see a smile on your face. I always see a handshake, an autograph signed. Did you emulate him in your post-playing career at all?
When you see something like that, you absolutely. I guess that's what I was trying to poorly articulate a couple minutes ago without trying to start crying on the air here and really embarrass myself.
No,
but
don't be.
The emulation of something, somebody like that who, and again, sometimes we used to call it false enthusiasm, F&E, but Franco Harris was genuinely happy to be nice to people. He wasn't fabricating. It wasn't disingenuous. That's that's the beautiful thing about his heart and spirit that, people like me wanted to look at, and bluntly today, want to carry on.
Yeah. Lost an absolute titan of the sport in the great Franco Harris. Appreciate you sharing that bit of it, bud. Let's make the awkward transition to football. This is a game on Saturday where the New Orleans Saints are going to come in here. I know you've looked at the weather. It's going to be as brutal as we've seen, bud. I mean, we're talking highs around 8 to 10 degrees. We're talking wind gusts in the 30s and 40s, sustained in the 20s, maybe 30s, depending. Could be a little bit worse. The temperature is going to be a real deal. The wind could be a real problem. What do you try to do in preparation, Bernie, when you can look down the barrel at a forecast like this as a football team to get ready to execute whatever level you can? How do you do it?
Bo, I love how you articulated, let's make the awkward, challenging transition from that subject to this. Let me add to that by saying that awkward, tough transition from talking about the great Franco Harris to this awesome weekend of the holiday weekend, and God bless everybody out there on Christmas and Hanukkah and holiday weekend for that. And it's one of the beautiful things, somewhat to me, of football, to where you have to, unfortunately, as sad as that is to say, and I'm almost embarrassed to say it, you have to block out that stuff so that you're able to go out there and handle these type of conditions, and to go out and play a game where a lot of your family's coming into town. It's the holidays. You're so blessed to be playing NFL football and having the lifestyle that NFL football provides for you, and you want to enjoy that, and you want to have a good spirituality and thankfulness about you. But the reality is, Saturday afternoon between 1 and 4 o'clock, it's going to be, besides a brutal test in the physicalness of basically minus 10 degrees wind chill, 40 to 50 mile an hour gusts, a complete physics nightmare to throw the football, that, the physical side of it, on top of the mental toughness that you really have to have the physical toughness to withstand those type of conditions while playing NFL football. I love against the Ravens last week. There were people talking about, is the team going to quit because the playoffs are kind of look like they're out of the picture? The team absolutely did not quit last week. These are the type of games where human nature, you want to possibly turn it down a notch. This is the type of game where we're going to see how committed everybody is towards their love of the game, because there's so many distractions and so much torture conditions to play in.
Bernie, I thought that was the biggest thing that I took from the game on Saturday was we use the phrase on here, give a damn level. The fight that I saw, the fun that I had saw Myles Garrett making sacks on the quarterback with Perry and Winfrey, Deshaun Watson celebrating after the long scramble to clinch the first down, pointing to the skies, winning his first game in First Energy Stadium. That was comforting to me, that it was. And I don't know how you are when you're at this time of the year and you're looking around the NFL. I'm always one to say, boy, how much do they care still to be out there? And that was there in spades on Saturday. How, not just us, but as you look around the league, how cognizant are you of who's still playing as hard as they can?
Yeah, I'm actually very cognizant of it. And, Bo, as you're asking that, I'm chuckling to myself back to your other question of how it's going to be on Saturday. Defensively, guys, like they were laughing and running around last week, they love bad weather. So from a defense perspective, I could see Myles Garrett and our defense having a fun afternoon between 1 and 4 o'clock. And I would be almost, and I mean this in jest today with some of the issues in society, but I would almost be suicidal from an offensive perspective, though, as the quarterback, especially me as the quarterback, a 5'5" running quarterback in those 50-mile-an-hour winds. That is not conducive to offensive success. I could see Deshaun smiling because, thank God, Deshaun has the athleticism in the wheels like he did on that run you were talking about at the end of the Ravens game, to bounce up being happy and smiling. your legs could get you out of some troubles in games where weather in the passing game is almost impossible to do. So I could see Coach Stefanski and Alex Van Pelt and the staff coming up with some creative screen type, motion personnel type stuff to just because that's probably the easiest way to assimilate some passing games plays. But Deshaun's wheels will absolutely be a factor, or should be a factor, in this Saturday's game. And then from the other side of it, Andy Dalton from the pocket could really have trouble there, and I could see the Saints doing a lot more Taysom Hill in the backfield.
That's a good point in terms of the Hill part of it, Bernie. I doubt that you saw it, but there was an Ohio State game at Northwestern this year where the wind was sustained in the 50s.
Oh, saw it.
Did you see that game?
Us old quarterbacks, we have a radar detector for horrific throwing conditions.
So you know where I'm going with this, because so they couldn't throw it. They really could not throw the ball down the field with any sort of accuracy. And one thing that I noticed, now those are college kids versus pros, but one thing I noticed was, especially with C.J. Stroud, who's going to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft, the frustration of drives not going the way that he wanted or being able to execute the way that he wanted. The frustration was palpable, and I think it kind of derailed his game, and they were lucky to get out of it alive. How much is the mental part for Deshaun Watson and anyone else who tries to, the receivers, all of that, how much is it going to be key to be mentally locked in and understand that while these drives aren't going the way that if they end in anything other than a turnover, it's almost like it's a win, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I really like CJ, and I saw that game. I feel so much for him and all of us Qs that get punished in those situations. I get no happiness in seeing those young men be tortured in those type of conditions and stuff. And as a young kid like that, it probably surprised him because you haven't seen that. He's in his, he's a 20-year-old kid. He hasn't seen that before. So if you haven't seen it, if you haven't anticipated it, like that was a tough one to anticipate back 6 weeks ago. You don't anticipate that type of horrid conditions from a college perspective in the month of October like that. But from the pro perspective, you do anticipate that. We have seen some of it. And not that I like this, and not that Deshaun likes this either, but when Deshaun was with the Houston Texans, he played here in Cleveland, and it wasn't as terrible as it's probably going to be this Saturday. But from a win perspective, it sucked when Deshaun was here. So he absolutely is mentally will be prepared. He knows what he's going to get, and not that makes it to where it's going to be an offensive scoring fest, but from a mental standpoint, he won't be surprised. Him and coach, they've been here, done that. They will do their best to come up with creative plays and plays for the fans out there. This is not easy to do against a good defense, and unfortunately, the Saints are a pretty damn good defense.
Yeah, they are. The Taysom Hill part of it, that's a tricky one for us, and the fact that the Saints have that in their back pocket. You bring that up, and you're preparing for this game, and you go, oh my gosh, they have that entire package with him. That feels like that will be an absolute key. I mean, this could be a throwback. I mean, way. This would be Bud Wilkinson, Oklahoma style. Everybody runs every play stuff, Bern.
Yeah, that's absolutely going to be part of their game plan this Saturday afternoon with Taysom Hill.
Yeah, it might be the only way to move the ball by the time is all it's said and done. Coldest game you ever played in here and worst conditions you ever played in, what are they?
It doesn't seem the worst conditions are those big wins. So I've had some games against the old Houston time where the weather may not have seemed that bad, but you're getting up to 40, 45 mile an hour winds. But I did in 1989. We did have a game where we had to win against the Minnesota Vikings in Cleveland, Ohio, towards the end of the year, and we had to get the W. It was like a minus 15 or so, minus 20 wind chill the game went into overtime. So I wouldn't be so elevated and have so much positive emotion about that if it did not end the proper way. So thank you for bringing up that question. I love it. I love it and you, brothers. Thank you.
You're very welcome, my friend. Hey, buddy, going to be a fun one, a Christmas Eve game into a Christmas. You've been a gift for us, and we just are so appreciative every time you come on with us. Thank you for your time and your expertise, and sharing a little about your friend Franco Harris as well, because you got to know him in a way that many of us did not. So I thought that was very special, and I'm very appreciative of your time and patience on those questions.
Well, thanks, guys. And, hey, God bless Franco, the people. But it really was a shocking message about how life short is. And with this holiday season, make sure we're telling the people that we really care about and how special they are, how much we love and care about them. And sometimes the little things that I know sometimes get under my skin, when you see something like that happen, you kind of realize that maybe I shouldn't be so upset. We shouldn't be so upset about what's happening around us. So let's make a positive, genuine difference out there. You hear me say you matter a lot. It has nothing to do with the University of Miami. It's about we care about the people out there. So God bless everybody. Happy holidays. You matter, and go Browns.
You're the best, buddy. The great Bernie Kosar joining us on the Twisted Tea Hotline. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of the Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. I also want to remind you there's a new way to cheer on your Cleveland Browns with the help of your favorite four-legged companion. Barking Backers, presented by Milkbones, the Browns' newest club for pet parents worldwide. Sign up today at barkingbackers.com. Barking Backers, the fan club for dogs. It was so special for Bernie to share that with us, Gibbe. And you think about in the instance of both of those franchises, they both have kind of been the constant. I mean, Franco was in Pittsburgh forever. He was omnipresent around the organization and in the city, and the same is true of Bernie here. And I never connected the dots in terms of their relationship or how well he knew him until you understood the relationship with him, and you think about the way Bernie is at a game or the way Bernie is around town, and there's a lot of that they had in common.
Yeah, and I mean, he literally grew up between the two cities.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he literally was between I'm sure half of his community were Steeler fans, and half of his community were Browns fans. So, I mean, he grew up right in the heart of it, right in the middle of it. So Franco Harris, A Football Life, debuts Friday night. Again, all these things.
Unprepared. This was not. It hasn't. Franco Harris Football Life has not aired yet. This is the debut of it. Is Friday.
If I have that right, yes. Compliments of NFL media.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, there was all this stuff coming out this week. Premieres Friday, December 23rd at 9 p.m. And in the show, former teammate and Hall of Famer Joe Green said, "When Franco arrived, we became the Steelers." That's the big cut coming out of it.
That's just. I mean, the timing on that is.
I reached out to one of my counterparts. I said, "Dude, I can't even imagine what's going on there." Because they had this whole
it was all set
Saturday
up.
night, Christmas Eve was nothing but a big celebration, and now, I mean,
it's very different.
Yeah, I mean they are changing a lot of things on the fly, and it's become a celebration of life as much as it is anything,
for sure. And they'll do a wonderful job of it. But it is also, my God, how did we not do this already? I know they were waiting for the 50th anniversary and all of that.
Yeah, but to retire his number.
Yeah.
I mean, that should
well, they only have, what is it? It's just Joe Green and who else? They only have two. They don't issue the numbers. Like, they don't give out 12. They don't give out 32. But there's only two retired numbers in Pittsburgh. I know I know that Mean Joe's one of them. 75 is actually retired. There's one more.
They've got a few according to this. Oh no, Ernie Stautner potentially.
Yeah, I don't think I know they have a lot of.
Yeah, his number's retired and Joe Green's retired, and then Franco was going to be retired. Unofficially retired are Bradshaw,
There's a
Bettis,
bunch.
Palomalu,
Yeah.
Mel Blunt, Mike Webster.
They don't issue them.
They don't issue.
But there were only, up until Franco goes in
there's
Saturday, there's only
2.
two. Yeah, Ernie Stotner and Joe Green. Stotner joined Pittsburgh in the 50s.
Yep.
He was the first number to officially be retired by the franchise. He was an all-pro defensive tackle. So it's just him and Joe Green.
9-time Pro Bowler and all-pro defensive tackle.
Yeah.
That'll get your name up in the rafters.
Yeah. But, I mean, they've got a ton of those. And so Franco joins that list Saturday, was going to be the first one to join that list. But they haven't issued a lot of these numbers, 58, 59. They haven't issued it, LCs, all those. They don't issue them, but they aren't officially retired.
Yeah.
So that's a big one, obviously, for them. Nothing quite like tailgating touchdowns and Twisted Tea. It tastes just like real iced tea. You know why? Because it's made with real brewed tea, cool, refreshing, and a 5% kick of alcohol. It's Thirst Down and Gold Twisted Tea, hard iced tea. Keep it twisted. Coming up at the top of the hour, your quarterback Deshaun Watson at the podium. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. And be part of one of the most passionate fan bases in the NFL. Join the Browns season ticket member waitlist today for the best chance of securing tickets for all home games in future season. Don't miss out. Go to clevelandbrowns.com/tickets or call 440-891-5050 to reserve your spot today. And now we head to the podium here on the second hour of the program. Deshaun Watson.
That game ball on Saturday, what'd you do with it?
I give it to my family.
You're down 12 minutes.
So you thought that was cool? Wait a second.
Right.
What are your thoughts about we're getting these dire forecasts? Does it get in your head at all during preparation?
Nah, not at all. My main job is just going out there and, like I said before, just executing the game plan and try to win. Not so much of what the weather's going to be because I can't control that.
Deshaun, what is the coldest game you've ever played in?
I'm not even sure, honestly. Probably something in college. Probably one of those, I think ACC championship games in North Carolina, but it wasn't as. This is definitely going to be the coldest for sure.
Deshaun, you talked a lot about the connection with Kevin and AVP. How much was there, from what you'd built up during the offseason and preseason, how much erosion was there in that connection during the time you were away, and how much have you had to build it back up over the course of the last month or so that you've been back in the building?
This whole process has been just taking it one day at a time, regardless if but when I was in the building in the off season during training camp, and then when I was away from the building, it still was going to be a process, regardless, because it's, we never really had the opportunity to play in a game together, other than, a couple plays in preseason, which was more operational and just kind of getting my feet back on the grass. But, we knew it was going to be a learning curve. We knew that it was going to take some time. So we're not, pressuring ourselves to try to, force any issues or force anything. We just, take it one day at a time, one snap at a time, one rep at a time, and we just got to continue to build and have that open mind that we can do that.
Last week you said you thought you and Kevin, the sky's the limit for you guys together. So what is it about his system that you think you can thrive in?
Just the balance of just the pass and a run. And then we have, great front five. Those guys up front and the schemes and the way Coach Callahan coaches those guys and how detailed they are. And then also just with, just how he can get the guys, the receivers especially, the ball. Not just one receiver, but, just everyone have the opportunity to get the ball and make plays and be special. So, I love the opportunities that we have. I love the way he schemed up the game, and we're just going to continue to grow from there.
As you're building that relationship with him, is it getting to the point when you're getting into a rhythm where you can anticipate now, what's coming in certain situations?
Yeah, definitely, because we talk through each and every opportunity and each and every situation. So, with us being able to, talk through it throughout the week, see the film, have meetings. And that's another thing too, is like, Kevin is also in those meetings with us. So, I get to hear him talk and the way he's thinking about going through the week. So, when I get there Saturday or Sunday, whenever we're playing, I have an opportunity to know, like, hey, this is coming up, unless, something they do on defense, we have to, adjust and things like that.
Deshaun, it seems like you're so vocal, like with Kevin and then obviously with the guys when you're actually out in the field about what you're looking for. I know Jadeveon, like a few weeks ago, said maybe earlier in your career you weren't as vocal. Has that been like a process for you to actually talk more when you're out there and when you're off?
No, most definitely. Like JD said, early on in my career, I'm a naturally shy person. Right? I don't really, I kind of just quiet, kind of observant guy. But as I kind of gotten older and I guess earned my stripes in this game, I just naturally started talking. And the guys, and now, me being older, being in the league for 6 years, we have a lot of guys that's younger than me that looked up to me. So, they ask me questions. So for me to be able to get them on the same page of what I'm thinking, what I'm seeing, is it's a great opportunity. It's going to help us, overall, offensively to try to score more points and be more successful.
I'm talking to Amari about you guys have been watching some of your film from Houston, and they're getting an appreciation for what you can do with some of those no-look passes and all that kind of stuff. So how is that helping you and them to have those film sessions together so they can figure out how to work with you?
It helps a lot. Some of those opportunities came up. We haven't capitalized on it, but, that's the I guess the reps that I'm talking about during live games. is to be able to, we had one last week with Mike Woods. I'm scrambling. I had 2 guys come up, and I kind of throw it no look, but he was going towards the sideline instead of up. And just that little thing, if he would have just saw what I was thinking and he, get on the same page of, this is what I'm thinking. Hey, when I'm coming, I'm drawing guys up, not just go vertical. I can just give it to him, and he can walk into the end zone. So, having those opportunities, scrambles, and then just plays that I used to do back in Houston, trying to transfer over here, so and apply it to our scheme. So it's also good because we did the same thing with Coop, early on, and trying to get him the ball. We used to watch, some of the Oakland and Dallas film of like different routes and concepts that he did. So it's awesome to be able to, pull from there and try to, do the same thing here.
When you played the first game in Houston, you said recapturing your former game. You don't know when it's going to come, but never going to see it when it happens. Something like that. And so you're 3 games in with 3 games to go. Do you think you're going to see that before the final 3?
I guess so. I mean, my main thing is just operating the offense. So whatever it takes, if it's running the ball 30 times, if it's passing the ball 40 times, whatever it takes to be able to get that win. That's the ultimate goal. I know a lot of people want highlights and, the big shots that, people were seeing the last time I played, and that's naturally going to come. But, we can't force that issue. And you got to understand that the defense and other teams that we play understand that too. They go back and they have to go back. It's a small, sample size of what I do in this system. So they have to go back in 2020 and watch what I do, and they know that some things might be similar, some things might be different. So you just got to take it one play at a time, and eventually it's going to pop up, and when it comes, we have to take advantage of it.
Have you had a couple of those moments there where you said, okay, there it is, like we found a small window or play?
Yeah, I mean, each and every week has been getting better, and that's what I like to see so much. Not so much of just, hey, this is a play, I remember this. It's more of just kind of, all right, each week, am I getting better? Am I getting more sharp with my game and operating and being a quarterback in this system? Because it's a learning curve for myself, too. This is a different system than what I was back in Houston, and I had for 5 years. So, this is a totally different change for me, and I'm trying to adapt as much as, the coaching staff is trying to adapt to me.
Nick Chubb said yesterday he felt like it was a matter of other guys raising their level to meet yours. Is that something you consciously try to do, is kind of set the bar high so guys come up and join you?
Most definitely. We have the talent, we have the operation, and we have a lot of young guys, especially that haven't played as much football as me, Amari, a couple of O-linemen, Nick Chubb and things like that. So, the things that I'm seeing and the things that I, back there as a quarterback, I want them to be able to see the same things. Because if we can do that, then that's where the more explosive plays are able to happen, throughout the game.
Sean, what do you like about running the no huddle like you guys do on Saturday?
I mean, it's really just, the defense have to commit to what they want to do. So just switching up the tempo is always good. Being able to see the defense and let them show their hand. The hard part is when they don't show their hand, but, they got to make a choice because, they got to be able to communicate as well as us, too. So, that's always a good thing.
And how much of that, as you run through that process, is Kevin in your headset, and how much is kind of you going to the line and kind of diagnosing what you're seeing?
It's both. It's both of us. Kevin is definitely, he's the play caller, initiator. He's the one talking to me, but if I see something, I'm able to check it and be able to get to that play. So that's where the film sessions and communication throughout the week kind of, work at on game day.
So the Saints put the hard press on you in March. They visited you twice. Were you ever leaning to them over the other 3 teams?
I mean, I'm a Cleveland Brown, and that's the team I was leaning to. But I got so much respect for, Dennis Allen and all the staff that came and visit me, the players, and the owner. She came and visited me, and we had a great conversation and talked, and have so much respect for each other. And I appreciate the New Orleans Saints for that opportunity.
How good is Amari Cooper? How fortunate are you to have a receiver of that caliber as you're going through this process?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, it's a blessing to be able to have Amari and the things that he can do and the things that he's seen, and just be able to be that, big brother for me, because he's older than me. So, having the opportunity to learn from him and what other quarterbacks he played with was thinking and what he think on certain coverages versus certain DBs. And then also for him to be able to talk with the younger receivers and show them the way to be a professional and how to prep for each and every game. It's awesome to see.
And when you're running around and when you're scrambling and all that, how fortunate are you to have a guy like Amari that you know that somewhere he's out there, doing his thing and is probably staying alive for you.
Yeah, it's awesome to be able to have that, and we're just gonna continue to build on that. And like I said before, he's been able to talk to the other receivers in the room and showing them, hey, the play is never over until the whistle is blown. So there's opportunities and space, throughout the whole field, especially when I'm scrambling.
We see Kevin, and there seems to be no change demeanor. It's kind of flatline almost. Is that good for a quarterback when you have a kind of a coach that doesn't isn't like up and down emotionally on the sidelines?
Of course, it's balance. It's balance, and that's what you got to do. You never show your weaknesses, and you never get too high. You got to just keep that balance and keep it neutral, and being able to talk and communicate. Because if you're too high, then some guys might not be able to react to that on certain situations. And if you're too low, people might not respect that. So with him being balanced and that, he comes over and he tells you the truth and what he saw, and if he messed up, on a situation, he let us know, hey, that's my fault, and that's what you got to do, as a coach and as a leader, just take the blame for every situation, even if the blame is not on you. He does that all the time, and I respect Kevin and I appreciate him, and that's one of the reasons why I chose to come play for him.
I was just going to ask you about that. There's a narrative that you did come here in large part because of Kevin and what he was able to do with Baker. We've seen what he could do with Jacoby. Was that a huge part of your decision?
Most definitely. And there's a story out there that I haven't told, and I'll tell another time. But on that visit, the opportunity to be able to talk ball and just the connection that we had. It was it wasn't even about selling me on Cleveland and what's here. It was just mostly just all ball, and me and him had the opportunity to meet and talk about that and see what the future can hold and what we can really do in the system together. So that was what I was really excited.
Back in 30.
I was very high on Cleveland.
Last one. Amari's going to hit 1,000, approaching 1,000 yards again. Where do you think his consistency comes from?
Just the preparation. He don't really change anything. He knows how to adjust. He's a professional. He studies very, very hard. And he understands what we want, with him in this system. And for him to be able to do that, he knows his opportunities.
5 seconds.
The issue. And when those opportunities come, he take advantage of them.
You're up.
All right, there's your quarterback, Deshaun Watson, at the podium. Coming up next, we will meet the 2022 New Orleans Saints. Z returns. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. And the Bath Authority gives you that bathroom of your dreams. You transform your current bath into a custom bath for a spa-like experience. Let the Bath Authority make it a reality for you at a fraction of the cost of the competitors. The Bath Authority is our area's premier bath and shower remodeler, expert and factory-trained installers. Give them a call now at 216-220-8399. You get $500 off your next custom bath and shower remodel. Check them out at thebathauthority.com. It's where affordability meets quality. It's the largest selection of bath projects. They're all made in the United States. Change your bathroom from outdated to outstanding. Acrylic tubs that insulate and keep the heat in. Tub-to-shower conversions as well. If you need them, they got them. Superior products with expert installers at thebathauthority.com. Time to meet the 2022 New Orleans Saints. They're 5-9 on the season, third in the NFC South due to the head-to-head tiebreakers. Last time out, defeated the Falcons 21-18 to stay alive in a brutal NFC South division. For more on the Saints, head coached by Dennis Allen, we head to Dr. Z.
All right, well, this is an interesting team. Obviously, because they're in the NFC South, they're still not mathematically eliminated, but not a great offense, but a pretty good defense. Offensively, 17th in total offense, 22nd in scoring, 21st in rushing, 12th in passing, believe it or not. They don't give up a lot of sacks, but they do turn the ball over. Third most giveaways in the league. Then defensively, 11th in total defense, 17th scoring, 23rd against the rush, but 7th against the pass. They can get after the quarterback. They've got 39 sacks this season, but they do not take the ball away. Dead last in the NFL in takeaways. They have just 3 interceptions on the season. 3. That was us a few weeks ago, but now all of a sudden it's an interception fest with us. When they've got the ball, Andy Dalton playing surprisingly good football this year. Andy Dalton, 67% completion, 17 touchdowns, 7 picks, 98.1 quarterback rating. Since week 11, he leads the NFL last 4 games, 8.5 yards per attempt, and a 117 quarterback rating. They only went 2-2 during those games, by the way. They also have Taysom Hill, and he's the wild card to me, especially given the weather circumstances. Taysom Hill on the season, 11 of 17 passing, 216 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, a 147 rating. But Taysom Hill running the ball, also dangerous. 68 rushes, 449 yards, second on the team, and he leads the team with 5 rushing touchdowns. Oh, he also has 7 catches for 66 yards and 2 touchdowns as a receiver, making him the first player since LaDainian Tomlinson to have 2 rushing, receiving, and passing touchdowns in the same season. And that was 2005 and 6 for LT.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara's having a down year. Alvin Kamara's been in the Pro Bowl every year. He's been in the league 5 straight. But this year, 641 yards rushing, 3 total touchdowns on the season. He's got 446 yards receiving. He's averaging just 90 total yards a game, which is a lot, but for him it's a career low. His 3 total touchdowns all came against the Vegas Raiders in Week 8. So that's the only game he scored all season long. Jawan Johnson is a converted wide receiver to tight end. Oh, all he's got this year, 7 touchdowns. Second among tight ends behind only Travis Kelce. All 7 have come from Week 7 on. That's second most in the NFL behind only A.J. Brown. If you were able to bet on that before the season and somehow knew that, you probably would have made a lot of money. I bet those are pretty long odds on Jawan Johnson. Chris Olave, he leads the team, 63 catches, 940 yards, 3 touchdowns, on pace for a 1,000-yard season, needs just 60 over the final 3 games. Rashid Shaheed is a speedster, 22.3 yards a catch. He had a 68-yard touchdown last week. So that's who you have to watch out for. Defensively, a lot of guys that can get after the quarterback, a lot of guys up front with some real talent on this football team. It's led, of course, by Cam Jordan, their Pro Bowler. They've got, at the second level, Demario Davis, who actually leads the team with 6.5 sacks. He's got 89 tackles this year. They got the Honey Badger. Now, they don't have Marshawn Lattimore. He hasn't played since Week 5. But they've got Pro Bowlers at all 3 levels. Marcus Davenport can get after the quarterback as well. It's a good defense. Tough against the pass, easier to run against. They got Marcus May as well, so they got good safeties. Just a solid squad.
Well, and it's interesting because when you initially talk about this matchup, Z, you go, hey, team from New Orleans, dome, southern climate, all of that, ill-equipped. And then you get the Taysom Hill curveball of this, and if the weather is so bad, they could just run that and are very well equipped to just run that. They know how to do that.
Yeah, and I think that's what you're going to see a lot of that. So I kind
agree.
of dug into it a little bit. Taysom Hill, the most snaps at quarterback in a single game was 17. That was Week 11 against the Rams. They won that game 27-20. New Orleans this year is 3-0 when Taysom Hill has 9 or more carries. He's rushed for more than 50 yards in all of those games, including a Week 5 win over Seattle. 9 carries, 112 yards, 3 touchdowns. Oh, he also threw a touchdown pass in that game as well. So I do think you're going to get a lot of Taysom Hill in this one. Now, the Saints, you mentioned the dome team, all of that. They are 0-6 outdoors this year. They have not won outside of a dome in 2022. If the game time temperature at kick is below 24 degrees, which feels like a lock at this point, it will be the coldest starting temperature game in New Orleans Saints history.
Hmm.
How about that?
How about that, man? I mean, well, there's no way to prepare for it down there, I'll tell you that.
No.
So there's not much way for us to prepare for it, let alone them.
No.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, though. I think they're going to run it. They will use a ton, and I mean a ton, of extra offensive linemen. Last week, for example, they had 55 offensive snaps. They had a 6th offensive lineman on the field, the 6'7" Trevor Penning. 24 out of the 55 snaps, they had 6 offensive linemen. They will play 3 tight ends, 4 tight ends. They don't care. They like to line up and pound it. Now, Kamara, like I said, only 3.9 yards a carry this season. He's struggling.
Yeah.
But they are better equipped than you would think for this weather. They've been throwing it effectively. Like I said, Dalton, 8.5 yards an attempt, 117 rating the last 4 weeks. But this is a team that it does not feel like they should be good running the ball, but they are, and they will get big, and they'll try to play a little bully ball with you.
Yeah, for sure. And then the other part of this when you meet the Saints is that Jarvis comes home. And I realize he plays for his home state team in New Orleans, a Louisiana native. But he is a guy, Z, who was Gibby and I were talking about this yesterday, of the players that during the time that you and I have done this show together who were like the star guys, nobody embraced their time with us, and we had more on than Jarvis. He was on all the time. He would give it. He was so generous with his time. He was so candid, so honest. We heard some of our players yesterday talking about what he meant, just a kind of a one-man culture tornado for us here, and had a lot to do with the turnaround of the franchise. And my guess is that those that are there on Saturday, and God, it's appropriate, it should be on their feet for he's number 80 for us. What is he, 5 now for them?
Number 5, yep. Yeah, Jarvis Landry is one of our favorites, easily. You're right. A culture tornado, I think, is a good way to describe it in terms of he just kind of imposed his will onto this team, and I thought he was a big part of the turnaround that this team and this franchise enjoyed. He's as tough as they come. He's been limited to just 9 games this year, 25 catches, 272 yards, and a touchdown, so he hasn't had the impact that obviously he wanted to have going home. He's battled through a lot of injuries, only played 19 snaps a week ago, but Jarvis Landry is a guy who means so much more than his stature, means so much more than his stats. He just meant, I think, so much to this organization. I love getting to know him and to have him as a part of our organization. I think he should get – I'm sad that this isn't like an early September game.
I know.
When you had, good weather, you'd have a full house for sure, because he would get a tremendous ovation, and justifiably so.
Yeah, he would. He was a guy that, I think about when we were going through some of the struggles we had mid-season. I know we tried, to bring him back. His presence would have been helpful because he is he's a follow me to freedom guy.
No doubt. He's a great leader, and he's a guy that the other people respect, that the guys in the locker room respect, the young players respect. You ask Donovan Peoples-Jones, Jarvis Landry is very influential on Donovan Peoples-Jones in a very positive way. So, yeah, he is a great leader and somebody that I will remember very fondly as a great Cleveland Brown.
Yeah, my boy Beams, as you know, Jarvis's favorite player. He's got a ton of 80 stuff. He was heartbroken when he didn't return. I said, buddy, wear that stuff with pride, man. Wear that 80 with pride. That'll be embraced everywhere you go for the impact that dude had on his time here. All right, rest your voice, brother.
Hold on.
Oh, does he get more? I'm sorry.
He's got one more obligation.
Okay.
Because
I miss.
You're gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
And Z is solo So there has to be a little guess the spread for Thursday night.
Oh, Thursday night.
We can guess the spread for everything else on Friday.
Yeah.
But there's a
we
guess
gotta
the
guess
spread, and there probably needs to be a Thursday night score
Thursday
from you,
night
Bishop.
score?
So,
Okay.
Zagura, I need you
Yeah.
to guess the spread.
Right.
Jacksonville visiting the New York Football Jets. Setting the tone for the week here, buddy.
What do you do here with Zach Wilson at quarterback? I mean, how you?
I feel like the Jags are one of the hottest teams in the league. I feel like they've got to be favored. But I don't have a good feel
I haven't
for
even
this one.
looked at it. Gibby hit me with a
gonna
curveball. Let me get to it. I
Oh
gotta see
no,
where it is.
say-
it's okay. I'll fill you both
You
in.
got it in. All right,
Jags
I'll play
minus-
two then. I'll play.
Okay.
I'll play the guess the two. I'll play the guess the spread too. I can't. So go ahead. You go with yours first.
Jags minus 1.5.
Yeah, I would. I mean, they have to be favored. I would. I mean, it would. I would go. I'd be right in there. I'd go. If you want to go two, I'd go two. Jacksonville minus 2.
Jags plus 1.5.
Really?
I had a strange
Really?
feeling about that, even though I didn't agree with it. I feel like the Jags should be favored in that game as well. But the home field, especially this time of year, that matters. That surprises me, though.
Yeah, especially because the Jets are trotting out Zach Wilson. He's hot garbage.
Like on a neutral field, I feel
So
like
they're
the Jags
saying
are
They're only saying it's
easy.
They're saying it's only a 1.5 difference between the Jets and the Jaguars on a neutral field.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
That doesn't seem right to me at all,
No.
based on where they are right now. That doesn't
Especially
seem
the way
right.
Trevor Lawrence is playing, and
Well,
Zach Wilson, by the way, made a couple of great hero throws in that game. Got them. I mean, the play that he made to get them a field goal attempt was incredible.
Well, he can
Now,
do
the kid-
that. I mean, that's why he was drafted, because of a throw across his body in a workout. He was drafted
Yeah.
second for that. Look, in terms of the scores on that one, I mean, you're telling me I get Zach Wilson at home? Please,
Block of the
Jets,
century.
Jets. Give me the green and white all day long.
Gang
All
green.
Jets, gang green, absolutely. Everybody eats. Garrett Wilson eats. I don't even know who else he's throwing to.
And
It
if
doesn't
Zagura
matter. That'd be
could
great.
look at the camera right now, he would.
I would.
It is.
Can't wait.
It's a first Friday.
Like Mark
it's
Scott.
a Thursday on a first Friday.
Oh, it's glorious.
There you go. All right, and get better. Get rested.
Yeah, please, for the love of God.
I feel great.
We need
Yeah,
90%
you
you
don't.
tomorrow.
You don't
90%
sound
out of you tomorrow.
All right.
Can you got that? What? Give me your percentage right now.
Of how I feel?
Yeah, feel
Feel 90, 95.
90, 95. Voice is I would go 78.
Okay.
I think that's fair. Zest
Trending up, though.
Trending up. Where are you on Zest?
I'd say probably 85% normal zest.
80, yeah.
And I would say just because your voice is trending up does not mean that you just go and start talking to everybody.
No.
Lock yourself down. Lock it in.
You doing
Go
any
hide.
streaming? You do it? What are you catching up on some streaming shows? You and Miss K on this sickness? What are you doing? You can't tell me you can't sleep. How are you occupying your time?
You know, we actually watched that I enjoyed, and I don't know if you have even heard of it. Have you heard of Murderville?
Negative. No.
Okay, so it's Will Arnett,
Okay.
and it's a comedy show
Okay.
where he plays this like detective,
Okay.
and they bring in a celebrity or two
Okay.
to be like his assistant detectives.
Is it
and the
reality or
celebrities-
is it a show?
It's a show, but the celebrities that are brought in to be these assistant detectives don't know what's going on.
It's improv.
It's totally improv, and so they have no
Oh,
clue, and they're
okay.
supposed to try to solve a crime.
Okay. What
so they-
streaming apparatus?
Netflix. They have a Christmas special that's got Jason Bateman and Maya Rudolph that is pretty funny, and then supposedly the best one ever is Marshawn Lynch, which we haven't watched yet, but I am very eager to.
All right.
Because stuff happens that's kind of crazy, and they react to it in real time, and they're as themselves.
I'm a big Arnett guy. He's great on the Lego Masters, and he's Joe Bluth, for God's sakes. Like, what do you want? Oh,
He's
come on.
fantastic. He's fantastic in it. You're gonna. I think you'll like it.
He's good as the voice of. He's on the Batman too, in the Lego Batman. He does Batman.
Yeah.
So he's got a it's a good job.
Strong
All right,
catalog.
all right, good job. Get some rest.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right, the great Z joining us. We'll head back to the podium. Among other things, you'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, OBM, the official printer partner of the Cleveland Browns. While you depend on the Browns to win, you always depend on OBM. They'll tackle any size office. The number is 216-485-2000 or ohiobusinessmachines.com. You have an injury update?
Yeah,
Dr.
Browns
Gibby?
not at practice today. Myles Garrett remains out with an illness. It's going around, kids.
Oh, it's everywhere.
Jadeveon Clowney remains in concussion protocol. Not ideal. John Johnson III with a thigh. Still popping up here, and I don't know if I like this. Nick Chubb with a foot. Working on the side, Amari Cooper dealing with that core muscle and also a
He'll
hip.
gut it out.
And then Jack Conklin on rest.
I would think that tomorrow will be the day that we'll pay very close attention to that because that's the equivalent of your Friday. My hunch would be that Nick would be able to go, and I think that he would.
I would be surprised if Nick Chubb didn't. If Nick Chubb can't go, that injury's a lot more severe than we know.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like if Nick Chubb has a 70% chance of going, he goes. Miles will just be, can he get healthy from what's going around, because everybody's getting dinged by it. So that'll kind of be the big operation on that one.
Yeah, not so just stuff to watch. But again, tomorrow is Friday.
Yeah, right.
So we will, by this point tomorrow, we will have final injury reports.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's head back to the podium. Well, I'm almost certainly be a Pro Bowler tonight. He's Joel Bitonio. Let's have a listen.
You guys are down. About 8 minutes.
I think we just had our game plan. We knew those backers like to run through and make plays, so we were really trying to just get our hands on them and make things. But he was still active. He was making a lot of calls for their defense. He seemed like he really took that leadership role. And I think with him and Queen out there, they played pretty good. But we just tried to get our hands on him and make sure we sustained our blocks because we knew they were both really good players.
What do you think about the cyclone bomb that's hitting Saturday? They're calling it a
cyclone bomb. Yeah. Is that because of snow or just coldness?
I think it's like, you ever see The Day After Tomorrow? I think it's like that type of situation.
Oh, wow. That's pretty intense. No, we're just getting ready to play football. We understand there's going to be weather, there's going to be elements. But coach is stressed all week. We just got to play football. We're blessed to play this game, and we get to play football, and it's going to be a little cold.
Are you no sleep?
Yeah,
it won't sleep. How cold it could be?
I don't think so. I mean, last game was pretty chilly, you know what I mean? But we have the heated benches and all that stuff on the sideline. The worst part is the TV timeouts when you walk out on the field, because once you're playing and stuff, you don't even really think about it.
I heard Joe Thomas say last week that you try to hang on the bench as long as possible and look at the guy with the orange mittens. Is that a trick?
I mean, I'm too scared to do that because I just see the rest of the offense out there. But I remember at the end of my career, Joe was doing that, and I was like, "Where's Joe at?" I always did that, and he's sitting in the warm sweater on the sideline. So he had it down pretty good. Actually, I've seen this year some stadiums have the TV countdown clock, which is actually really helpful. You know what I mean? Because you're like, "Oh, you got another minute or something,"
So no shirtless warm up for you?
No, I don't. I want to actually go outside anyway for warm up, so I'll keep it in.
Hey, Joel, you come from Nevada. You played here outdoors. If you had your brothers, would you like to see a Dome Stadium as your home field?
Not for me. I like the elements. It adds a little different. When you're playing in a dome at 68 or 70 every time, it's perfect conditions, and I feel like football's an imperfect game. I know there's some people that want the high-powered offense. You want to see the talent play, but sometimes it's cool to have a little snow. I mean, we didn't have that much, but last game, night game. The snow was falling. What was better than that? You're out there just playing football, and it just reminds me of things you think about when you're a kid and stuff. So for me personally, I like playing outdoors.
Can Tony ask you that question again after Saturday?
Yeah, he can actually. We'll see. I'll revise that question.
So with wind, cold, maybe snow, is this? Do you go in thinking, man, we might have to run it more than we even normally do?
Yeah, I think we're prepared. I think we've put in a normal game plan, but we definitely have. Coach of Fantasy's always dialed in on, the weather and things of that nature. So he'll have a game plan if we need to run the ball, if they're going to bring a heavy defense out. What can we do to contradict that and stuff like that. So I think a few years ago we had that 3-game home stretch where it was pretty bad weather, not as cold, but windy and rainy and stuff. So I think we have some history with it as well.
Joe, I know it's still early with Deshaun. How do you see his relationship with Kevin growing as a play caller, just from an offensive standpoint?
Yeah, it's been really good. I think every week you've seen the improvement with the grasp of the offense, and then just him getting more comfortable playing football again after a couple years off. But no, I think they connect, and I think both of them have things they like to do and wrinkles that they like in the offense. And I think they've always had a clean relationship in that sense of talking and saying what they like. And so I think they're just working together to try and get the best offense out there for us.
What can the return of Ethan do for you guys?
Oh, it'd be big. I mean, since he's gotten here, like the work ethic that he has and just his, mentality of learning the offense, playing the game the right way has been huge for our room. And obviously he was playing really good before he got hurt. So having him back out there would be a big boost for us.
Might have been a little question about his mobility in this offensive line system, like when he joined the team. How did he end up doing?
No, I think he's been really good. Coach has been on him, and that's what Coach Callahan does. He coaches hard, and he's been coaching him hard. One of the hardest since he's gotten here. I think he sees the potential in him. I mean, he's a high pick. He's played all the positions on the line, and he's a bigger center compared to kind of what you see in the league. So I think that is a misconception. Like, oh, he can't move, but he has big strides. He can move. He's pretty agile, and I've been pretty impressed with him.
You've been stacking up these Pro Bowls, and I think the announcement comes tonight. I mean, you might already know for all I know, but just what does it mean when you hear that, and the fact that you've been able to string them? How important is that to you?
It'd be an awesome honor. Like, you especially for an offensive lineman, you don't have stats to really back you up and those type of things. So it's really a way to, look back on the season and say, like, hey, I had a successful season. And I think as a player, if you played well or not. And there's definitely some, bias to Pro Bowl voting for linemen, of course. But it's something that you look back on at the end of your career, I think. During the season, you're like, oh, that's, a great accomplishment. But you look back at the end of your career and you can be like, oh, I, made the Pro Bowl a few times, and it's a pretty cool honor.
I mean, you're still playing at a real high level, but do you feel like you've kind of gotten that name recognition now where people just might write you in because you're Joe Antonio?
I think it happens. We kind of talked about early in your career where it takes a little while to earn the reputation, and at the end of the career, maybe you get a couple that you don't. But like you said, I feel like I'm still playing at a high level, and still have room to improve and just keep growing my game.
Hey, Joel, without the stats of playmakers, now we have these PFF grades. Do you think Pro Bowl is the greatest assessment of the lineman's career when all said and done?
It's definitely part of the puzzle. I think All Pro is part of the puzzle too. It's hard with linemen because certain linemen on different teams are asked to do different things. So sometimes there's plays where a guy might be pulling all the time. He might be in the limelight, or a lineman comes into the league with name recognition that gets a shot up at the end of their career. Maybe they've don't deserve the Pro Bowl as much. They get a couple more. So it's a thing. And then you have PFF, who some people say is the holy grail of grading offensive linemen, but then you have coaches that hate it. So I think there's just like, it's not a perfect science, and I think you have to look at the whole picture. And Pro Bowls, All Pros matter. I think it is what it is, but PFF is part of the reality in a crazy, weird way, because people look at that, especially for linemen, and they look and say, like, oh, this guy's graded at a certain level, so he must be a certain player. So I think it's just all part of the group, and kind of what you do as well. You have a running back like Nick Chubb, or you have a good offense. I think guys get boosted for that too.
Back in 30.
It's a mix of things.
In Joe Thomas's case, where he one winning season, never blocked for a rushing champion, the number one offense, and he had 10 Pro Bowls right off the bat. Is that his greatest argument?
I think 10 straight is pretty impressive, because then you're talking about the durability as well. And I think his greatest argument is he played with so many different quarterbacks, so many different people next to him, so many different players, and he was always a dominant force. And
5 seconds.
Somebody making the argument that he got in off his merit. He always was a strong player in this league.
You're up.
All right, there you go. Joel Bitonio, who will find out, I'm sure, a little bit later on this evening that he is a Pro Bowler once again at the podium. All right, good stuff there. So much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. And catch the Browns preview show tonight, 7 to 8, University Hospital's Cleveland Browns Radio Network. Dalen Baldwin, the voice of the Browns, the great Jim Donovan, join Ken and Gerard on the program. I got one for you for tomorrow for Dr. Z. I was asked this morning in my other occupation, and the question was Mount Rushmore of Christmas movie characters. And he would have seen them all 1,000 times. You know how this goes.
If he puts the Miz on, is that a foul?
That's a foul. Yeah, he can't be. It's Clark Griswold. I went Clark Griswold. I went what's called Kevin
Macaulay Culkin.
Kevin Home Alone. I went the Love Actually, the old rock guy. I like him. I like that guy. I'm a big fan of that guy. Your Uncle Bill. I like that guy. I forget what his name. I think Bill Nye is the real actor's name, but I can't remember the name of the character that he plays. And then I went. It was tough between the old man and the Grinch, like Jim Carrey as the Grinch. That was a tough on the fourth.
I feel like you got to go Grinch on that. But
the old man's pretty great. From Christmas Story, he's pretty great, but I think I ended up going the Grinch as the fourth. So there you go. I want to know his for
the father. Bumpuses.
Well, that's the old man.
Yeah,
that's the old man. Christmas Story. Yeah, that's what I was referring to. Is the old man? Like that was the Bumpuses. Yeah, like that guy's pretty great.
Never mind. The Grinch is out.
Grinch is out. The old man's in.
Old man's in.
Yeah, Grinch is pretty great.
He does a hell of a job with it.
It's a lot of makeup, man. It's a lot of makeup. I can see too if you were a kid and you all of a sudden you go to see the Grinch and that would be a lot to take in first time through. Like the kids are used to it now, but there's a lot going on there.
1 minute.
Hey, by the way, enjoy the couch tonight. You're on dog duty.
I am.
We'll talk to you again on Friday.
I am. Yeah, I got a little basketball practice here in about an hour, and then and then it's me and Buddy Garrity on the couch living our best life. I'll see if he likes
the video
whiskey.
game system out. Set it up. Play it.
Live
Everybody
a little bit.
else is upstairs. Great.
Yeah. Well, I need to sleep too, though, so
It's
that's going to
overrated.
be a part of it. I got to figure that out. We'll see what we can do. Enjoy your Thursday. Enjoy your first Friday, kids, most especially. We are back tomorrow. The next level's coming up next. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet. Coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland.